Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final installment of the Blue Dragon 5 month, and we're doing that ever classic film, Up.
Hooray!
Now, yeah, I just want to quickly mention, I've actually only seen this once, I believe. I don't know if I've seen it more than that, so I've got little to say on it, but I am gonna just sit back, relax, and listen to the Pixar man himself, BlueDragonFive, talk for a bit about this before we get going.
Well, anything else to add on your introduction to the film? How
Well,
you were introduced to it?
well, I saw trailers for it, and I gotta admit, I was like, that's just an old man. He doesn't look. It didn't intrigue me that much until I actually sat down and watched it, and I heard people raving about it. So I was like, well, okay, maybe I should check it out. And it wasn't that long after it came out on DVD. I think I saw it on one of the movie stations out here. I can't remember which one, but I don't think it was. I don't think it was on the Disney Channel yet. Usually, it doesn't go on that until for a few years after its release.
Was it like Stars or something?
No, it would probably. I think that was back in the day when we had Movie One and Showtime, so it was either one of those two. So it was. Admittedly, it would have been out on DVD at the time. So yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was very intrigued by this film when I first saw the trailer. I was thinking, that's an odd way to go. And this is one of the few Pixar films I came in. I knew nothing about this going on. I had no idea how it was going to pan out. I'll say this, it's probably the most out there idea from Pixar to date. Boy, was it out there. I mean, I read the description. Only description was, Carl Fredricksen. I mean, that's kind of an odd name for a character. And I find a 78-year-old man and a wilderness explorer, and a bird and a dog, a talking dog. Man, that's kind of fun. And I see the poster. I'm saying, floating out. That's kind of cool. But where are they going with this? Like, I had no idea. And then I heard it was described as an unfinished love story, appropriately enough. But at the time, I didn't know what the heck to make out of that. So that's kind of odd. Well, we'll see where it goes. And when it came out, I saw the first day it came out, and I'm seeing it. I was like, wow, I'm impressed. I loved it so much. I really, this film, if I wasn't so attached to Toy Story, this would be my favorite Pixar film. It really would. I'm going to get into that when I talk about the film. Before I talk about the film while watching it, let's go into a little background, because I think it's worth talking about. Okay?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'm.
Well, as you and I hope a lot of people know by now, animated films take a long time to make.
Yes.
5 years for this one. Since it started.
Not 8.
No, not 8. You silly. It's only for superheroes.
Oh.
But in all seriousness, this film it started in 2004. Pete Docter, the inkling of the idea came from Pete Docter. He drew a picture, the director of Monsters, Inc., and the animator on Toy Story, CalArts graduate, the whole spiel. Anyway, so Pete Docter, he's doing a drawing of this grouchy old man holding the world's happiest balloons in his hand. So a bunch of smiley faces and I heart the world, that sort of stuff. And it's you can look up the drawing if you can. I mean that's where the inspiration for the film came from. They brought on Bob Peterson, the real comedy guy from Pixar. He's been working with them since A Bug's Life. He was Roz in Monsters Inc. and he Mr. Ray in Nemo. Funny guy. He was brought on there. He as story man, writer, and co-director. He had a lot of influence for this film. I don't think it'd be up to par without this guy, to be honest with you. I think he and Pete Docter worked terrifically as a team. And Bob Peterson's actually going to direct the next Pixar film, The Good Dinosaur, when that comes out next year. So keep your eyes out for that. I'm interested to see how that turns out. So it took about 3 months to get the script right, and this script had a lot of revisions. I'm going to say that. Some of the great animation giants, unfortunately, passed away after this film, around the time of this film, but they had a lot of influence on. They were really the inspiration behind kind of the film this was. I'm going to get into that when we talk about Frank Thomas, Ollie Johnson, who were part of the Nine Old Men, and Joe Grant, who had big influence on one of Pete Docter's favorite Disney films. Again, that one had a lot of influence on this film, Dumbo. Kind of that odd, it's a real out there premise, but boys, that have a lot of emotional beats in it. It's really entertaining throughout. That's kind of the real comparison to Disney for this film, Dumbo. Anyway, so Joe Grant, he gave some notes before his death in 2005. So he literally had some notes for the script before he passed. Man, this guy, he named Monsters, Inc. practically, so. Yeah, he had an influence. Russell was added late after Doug and Kevin. So, I mean, Doug and Kevin were in there from the beginning, but Russell wasn't. That's an interesting thing right there. Also, Russell's name was different originally.
Yeah.
Russell's original name was Lewis. And the reason they didn't call him Lewis was because the film, the film The Robinsons, right? The Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah, I've never actually seen it.
It's actually not bad. I would recommend it. It's one of the good Disney films come out during their down period. Actually, it was after that they started to pick up with the quality of films. After that film, I mean. But that main character's name was Lewis Robinson, and then they asked him to change the name because they're using that character. Well, it really didn't pan out because no one remembers that film hardly. But yeah, still, they changed it to Russell. It's really like this onomatopoeic name. You know, it's like what he's always doing. He's rustling around somewhere. Gives a ball full of energy. And of course, Pixar. We know Pixar. They're a class act. They do tons and tons and tons of research for their films. So they went to the location for the Roraima. I think it's hope I'm pronouncing this right. Roraima Tepoy. Now, Tepoy is in Venezuela, South America. Tepoy is literally Paradise Falls, basically. That whole area, yeah. And Miyazaki, well, Tepoy stands for Tabletop Mountains. That's what it translates to. And, you know, Miyazaki, Peter Pan, and again, Dumbo, they had kind of this influence and similarity to the film. Has that real mystical quality about it, kind of this really, again, out there premise, like a Miyazaki film, but also that Dumbo influence, and kind of the island of Neverland for Paradise, for the island of Paradise Falls, if you will, Tepoy.
All right.
Also did some reference for the Senior Olympics to get the movements down, right? Their grandparents, and in a nutshell, it's pretty much it. Let's start the Pete Docter, Bob Peterson directed and co-directed film, 2009, Pixar Animated Studios film, Up.
Yeah. Okay. So guys, get yourself past the menu and everything in the thing, and after the Disney DVD logo and everything, and press pause and get ready to press play now.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, you should be seeing the actual Disney logo now.
Yeah. Well, this film's very special, and just kind of something that really kind of illustrates that it starts in the past. We get to see 1930s Pixar, which I love seeing, to be honest with you. I can never get tired of it. See 1930s Pixar. And, go ahead,
mate. You check your comments too while you're here. That I'm sending you.
Right. I am. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and this again, 1930s Pixar. It's just such fun writing because the 30s is always just fun to write. Like, picture, if you will, roaring adventure, romance, intrigue, mystery.
Mm.
It's always fun. And of
Yeah.
course, just has a nice grainy quality about it. They started doing the kind of the grainy 1930s quality, well, it was 1950s, but in Toy Story 2 with the Woody's Roundup Gang, and they kind of perfected it here. Well, they did a little bit in The Incredibles, and they really perfected it 100% here.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, we have young Carl Fredricksen here watching the newsreel, which, again, is a really nice touch.
Yeah.
So
I love this idea, because the early days of Flight were very much like this. There was like this big adventure going on with it, and
exactly. Also, the dirigible is cool. The dirigible being the blimp, you know, it's And Muntz is inspired by Charles Mintz, and that's a stage from the short Presto, by the way, the thing with the rabbit and the magician. He's displaying the bird on. But yeah, he's inspired by Charles Mintz, who is the other creator who infamously stole Walt Disney's first character. He stole Oswald the rabbit, who was then replaced by Mickey Mouse. That's where the name comes from, and he's influenced a lot by Howard Hughes and Errol Flynn. The whole flight obsession, kind of how he goes crazy later, and the Errol Flynn kind of look.
Yeah.
Also, there are 50 dogs there.
50 dogs?
50 dogs, and they keep breeding over time, so that's how he has 50.
Huh.
You know, we don't see him. I suppose there are some female dogs. And I love how that's Carl's inspiration. You have to remember, this is what really bonds Carl and Ellie together.
Yeah.
And it's great exposition for later, it really is. Kind of just, we know all we need to know about Muntz, and there was a sea of floating hats. I know it's kind of passed with like this giant sea of floating hats, and I like this kind of like it's like the realistic kid imagination of feet, you know, like he jumps the canyon. You know,
I love that.
It's a realistic thing kids do. Like they're in their heads after they see a movie, they're trying to act like that movie.
I still do that sometimes.
Hey,
I'm great.
So do I.
Yeah.
Buzz Lightyear after I saw Toy Story for a while. Even Inspector Gadget for a brief bit. But the type, that's the only one complaint I have for this film. It's a fun one. When I was selling this film, it was so hard to sell. Like I say, have you seen Up yet? Like, what's Up? The ceiling. But other than that, no. But still, Up is just such a hard title to sell. It's a unique title. It's just so hard to sell. What's the movie called? Up. What? What kind of title is that? But it's true to what the theme of the movie is. Carl's been trying to go up his whole life, really. Since the death of his wife, trying to cheer himself up, I suppose.
Yeah. I should point out, I at one point knew a girl like this.
Of course, now this
we all had that girl. I think we've all had that girl that was like we were like friends with, but it then later became more. And
this is of course, this is Ellie, and also known as Eleanor originally. I mean, they said Eleanor's shortened it to Ellie, and she's actually named after she's named and voiced by Pete Docter's daughter, Elizabeth Docter, otherwise known as Ellie Docter, which is a nice touch. And I like how when they do this house obviously is going to be a big pivotal role in the film, and they kind of changed around the model. So it started as just a regular house, and they go to the newly built house back in the flashback. Not flashback, back in the married life sequence, and then this is the third one they've changed it around to, the old house. It's just, I buy this relationship, and it's like this realistic Peanuts logic, kind of like the interaction. They're like, no, go on. It's just depressing. He falls through the floor. So an old style ambulance, which is cool. Yeah, this is like this realistic Bob Peterson humor. Really, it's really coming through here. And again, I like how she encouraged him to be adventurous, even if it did pan out badly for him when he falls through. And the hair effect also is really tough to do, the static animation. I know it's past, but just mentioning it. By the way, the moment that I really loved is the grape soda pin. And I love how that keeps coming back. Like she pins it on. It's kind of that moment, hey, we're friends. It shows that these little moments have such great impact. You know? Of course, the balloon is also a nice touch when she flew it into the window.
Mm.
Also, such great design work. You have like the big goofy kid teeth. Like some teeth have been falling out now. Some have grown back. Some aren't there.
Yeah.
Ellie's
We've
design.
all had that.
Ellie's design's so
Had,
nice. It's just this such
yeah.
sweet and endearing. This
Yes.
relationship. So well written. But yeah, you buy this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only a small part of the movie, but it's better than the entire Twilight Saga.
Yes.
I think I've seen that written somewhere.
Oh, indeed, indeed. Twilight can suck it. But, yeah, I love the whole cross your heart bit, by the way. It's like this cross your heart permabond.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the grape soda badge, the grape soda cap design, it's actually from the Buzz Lightyear commercial in Toy Story 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they used that grape soda design for the cap in the little commercial with Buzz Light chopping soda cans and stuff in the commercial.
Mm.
And I love how they established the goal of Paradise Falls here.
Yeah. She is so much like Peppermint Patty, isn't she?
Yeah, and like
Ellie,
a little bit like a really nice Lucy. Like if Lucy's just really nice, like again, just kind of drawing to that, he fell through the roof, basically. Mm-hmm. Now, just to keep us from crying, I'm going to talk about this scene.
Oh.
The married life sequence. Actually, it was different in its original conception. Like, it was originally just kind of this punching rivalry over, like, a bird. Like, Carl's trying to capture a bird. She said, boys are mean. You shouldn't trap birds. And then they punch each other through all their relationship. It was really kind of more slapstick funny, but...
Mm.
And I tell you, there were some beautiful boards for that scene. Like, you see Ellie. She looked gorgeous in those boards. And, also... I love the little parallel in there, seeing Carl's family as like the quiet conservative people, and Ellie's family is like all bombastic and like, marriage. Mm-hmm. It's best, but it's still fun. And like in that board, the original board, you saw the proposal, you saw their teen years, and they had a more human look about them. So they during this they weren't as caricature as they are throughout the film. Like Carl looked the same as a kid and as an old man, just in between, he looked like a normal human. In the boards, at least. But also, you saw him get a job as a balloon man, which I liked. He did that so he could be like outside the place where Ellie worked at the museum, at this kind of Paradise Falls museum is where she worked. Like such nice bits, like they tied a string around the engagement ring and it flew out the window. But in this part here, the miscarriage / possible infertility, man, that shocked me when I saw this film.
Yeah, they went there.
I know. They play this so real. That's why it delivers so well. And they don't... It's just this whole scene... Keep in mind, this is the most pivotal scene of the film. And it has that great Michael Giacchino score. And by the way, he's my favorite composer at Pixar, by the way. He did The Incredibles and Ratatouille and this. But this is my favorite score in all of Pixar. Also, in the original board, something important to point out, Carl had a fear of flying, and that's why they never went to Paradise Falls originally. Like, she gave him tickets to go to Paradise Falls on his birthday, and he couldn't get on the plane. And that was kind of motivated his guilt later on. But still, I like this here. It's just that life got in the way. It's a real thing. Doesn't mean it's still not an adventure. And I love this little tie bit here. And look at how great the fabrics look.
Yeah.
Animation
awesome.
Here. Yeah, this whole thing is really the sequence here. Again, it's just so pivotal because if this scene didn't work, the whole film would have failed. And they knew this boarding it. They knew, okay, if we can when they boarded, even the imperfected state of this, it was so powerful. They knew if they could just capture like a tenth of this, they would be a successful film. And they did, and it was so... Paid out so wonderfully. And there's this great Walt Disney quote that brings in so true for this film and so true for film in general. For every laugh, there should be a tear. And boy, this just caused some tears, this sequence. It's like, again, it's a classic Disney feel, much like Dumbo. And it's, again, such a powerful story and these human touches to it. Also, it's kind of like poetry. It ends where it began here. We saw them where they get married, and we see where it ends later on. Where Well, I'll point out.
And we're not even 10 minutes. We're barely 10 minutes into the
This
film,
is like a 5-minute
and I'm already almost in tears here watching this.
And this is it's like a 5-minute sequence. At first, I always said it was like a 10-minute sequence. Like I'm accounting for the moment before the thing, but right here, this gets me. It ends where it began. This whole sequence from the church, and it's still at the church after Ellie's passed away. Oh, and you'll notice this little touch here, Magpie. The color drains as he enters the house. Ellie's magenta color, which kind of defined her character, drains out of the house as he walks in there with the balloon solemnly. Marvelous storytelling. And also, you'll notice if you go back to that sequence, they kind of accentuated the lighting, so it's like from Carl's memory. One could possibly say that this was all Carl's dream, just torturing himself, remembering his wife as he was dreaming just now. A little bit of an Inception touch, I suppose, but still. Also, the equivalent to that loss of color was like each light in the museum he's walking out, the museum she used to work for, and like each light went out as he walked out the door, leading to the house. But yeah. And the whole thing of that sequence is we need to be in love with Ellie, otherwise the film's going to lack that punch.
Yeah.
I love how they ease you into the comedy here.
Yeah.
Just the details in this scene, because, again, this has to be really delicate what they're doing here. So it's such a sad detail. It's like the one side of the bed's empty, but now he's like going on down the helper chair. And sorry, again, they're playing Carmen in the background. Sounds great. Good on Michael Giacchino putting that in there. Easing you into the comedy after this such a wonderful sequence, so delicate. And, of course, like a brand gag. So he has, like, brand on the table. It's a cheap gag, but it's funny.
And he's still wearing the grape soda pin. I love that. It's so... That's
my favorite touch, but also the little touch, like the reflective quality when he's polishing the window, like she's no longer there. It's, like, sad, but still, they're seeing in some comedy. And, yeah, the grape soda badge gets me every time. Like, I saw it for the first time. Oh, such rich detail. Yeah. Also, I'm going to mention this throughout, but my grandfather, they had these grandfather, like, groans. And my grandfather does it all the time. He goes, like when he opens the door, we just opened the door, and he's like, I forgot the locks are on there, that sort of stuff. Oh, by the way, the 18 on this house is the number of Bob Pearson's grandparents' house, and there's a plaque in there that says The Clock of Life, which was in Bob Pearson's grandparents' house. It's this poem about, like, the clock of life. I can't remember it offhand, but, check it out in the bonus features if you can, folks. Yeah. Now, I love Carl's arc of clinging to the past here. And that's shown visually, accentuated visually by the fact, he won't change. Like, everything around him, other than his little square of house, is changed. What do you think of that?
Sorry?
Like, just that one square of house is not changed, and they're trying to build a mall there.
Yeah.
It's like that visual accentuation that, he's clinging to the past. Now, originally, by the way, in one draft, the mall was already built, and just that one house was just there. But that kind of takes away the threat. That's why they changed it. But it was, like, right in between a roller disco and a bowling alley, which would inflate the balloons later on. But also, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the talents of, for one, John Ratzenberg as Tom the construction worker here, the good luck charm.
Yeah.
And, of course, Ed Asner. I love Ed Asner. He was Cosgrove on Freakazoid, Roland Daggett in Batman the Animated Series, and most famously, Lou Grant in Mary Tyler Moore. He brings such resonance, this man. He does. He brings such credibility, and yet he does so well with comedy. And he has to balance both of those here.
Yeah.
So at its core, this is one of Pixar's funniest, yet most emotionally involved films they've ever done. At the same time as it is so emotional, it is so hilarious at times. Like right here in this scene with Russell, played by Jordan Nigel. It was incidental casting, actually. He his brother was going into audition for the film, but this kid was in there, and he was entertained the casting. The guys doing the casting, and they chose him for the film, Jordan Nigel.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Russell is actually inspired by Pete Sohn. Pete Sohn, who was Squishy in Monsters University. He's also Emile in Ratatouille, and he looked like this when he was a kid. You know, he kind of a lot is taken from Pete Sohn for this character of Russell.
Mm.
And he did bore a lot of these sequences between the two, like this one.
Mm.
Yeah. And again, this is a big trailer scene, and it's so hilarious. There's even a Rorschach Deadpool parody of this on that's It's Just Some Random Guy, which cracks me up.
Mm-hmm. I love this little kid in the movie. Like I've said, I've only seen this once, so it's a bit. I was gonna watch this beforehand. I just didn't have time.
You'll notice that there's the detail here, like Russell's badge, all his badges here. One of them's a Luxo ball, and I like this how they set up what they set up here. Like Russell's little moment here has such an impact later. This is what gets. You're ahead of me, because this is what sets him. This is what it gets paid off later, like why he really needs that badge later on. Like, there's more to this kid underneath, literally. You know, when I say that, I mean like it's like within the badge, as you get to see later on. But yeah, I like how he does. This kid doesn't give up, and the snipe voice hilarious. But yeah, now we're at the mailbox scene. And this scene always gets a reaction, as you can tell by Magpie's reaction earlier. Steve here, when he gets hit, at first you laugh, but then, oh no, he's bleeding. This is the fourth use of blood in the Pixar film, by the way.
Mm.
A lot of people forget it's the fourth use. A lot of people say, oh my god, blood, this is the first time, but it's the fourth, actually. I love how, like, piercing the light is here, was like peeking out of the house here. It's like, oh no. And I love how it's so sad, because you feel bad for Carl. He just... Yeah, he loses the house here, and like the guy puts his hand on the post, like, oh no. And there's the A113 on the courtroom number. This courtroom number, A113.
Yeah.
Also, there's this one construction lady in the courtroom who's also there. She has this really pronounced chin that kind of, looking back at it, I noticed, like, that's an awfully pronounced chin for a woman. That's the price of caricature. Sometimes you can get away from you and get a little too far out there. But a little gripe, I do. I love how nice this female officer is. You don't look like a threat to me, Mr. Fredrickson. Also, this is a nice touch here with the mailbox. It shows how visually he's tied to the house. These ropes here. And it's so moving. Like, this old man is like talking to his wife as if she's the house. And what do we do now, Ellie? You genuinely feel bad for Carl, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Again,
I think this is probably... I know we're not even 20 minutes in. This is probably the best Pixar film. I'm just so emotionally attached to so much of this film already.
Magpie, I would throw Oscars at this film if I could. I would just buy a dump truck full of Oscars and throw it at this film if I could see it in theaters again. It's that good. It deserves so much. It really does. But yeah, also, this is just a great visual thing. The square chair and the round chair kind of representing Carl and Ellie. And they did that with the design work for the film. Like, these caricatured shapes kind of represent character. You know, Carl's a box with the shape of his head, and he doesn't like to move, not much for change. Ellie's that balloon, which kind of, the apple of Carl's eye. Russell's like this top, just full of energy and spinning around constantly, doing all sorts of stuff. Yeah. And originally there were gonna be clues to the balloons. Like, you're gonna see him like take the curtains. We weren't quite sure where he was going with it, but they have some nice clues here. Even though, all the canisters in the yard's a nice touch.
Yeah.
You see all these little canisters in the yard. He's like, he really let the place go, didn't he? But nope, he's got a plan. Now these gentlemen are George, the gentleman on the left, and AJ, the one with the malt and the cowboy boots. Who actually, if you pause and you look at this film, it's this is a Pete Sohn boarded scene. He's the idea for this AJ character. His name tag says Nancy. Shows you how devoted to the job he is. He's not even grabbing the right name tag. Just a little funny touch, and good on Pete Sohn again. Again, Pete Sohn, inspiration for us. Really good. Now, are you ready for some facts that'll blow your mind?
You're all right.
Okay, now, in this shot, there are 2,622 balloons. Okay, when the house is flying, it's 10,927 balloons. Okay? And in the trailer, Carl, he gives them the raspberry in the trailer. They cut that out for this line, the whole, I'll send you a postcard from Paradise Falls. I loved how they went with this scene, because they were debating upon, are we going to make this like a chase to get out of there before he's taken in by these social workers of sorts? But what they did is so much better. It's made into a waltz. And there's Lotso, Huggin' Bear, by the way, on the left corner of the girls' room, and Luxo Ball. And the plane from Toy Story Buzz is latching a ride onto. There's the Pete's Plant truck. Sorry, I'm just naming off things at this point. But yeah, I love the color when it's passing the girls' room. I love how it's just a waltz, the score. Like Giacchino's score, it's a waltz, like he's waltzing with Ellie as this house is going by, in a way. I think it's beautiful. I love how he waves to the guy here. Sorry, it cracks me up. But, by the way, just the thing about the balloon numbers, they're constantly cheating, but that's basically the number they calculated. And it really, when you see these shots, like, when it's, like, far away, these balloons are the size of 2 Carls. So it's like the size of 2 Carls. When they scale it up, they cheat. So, like, they shrink down the balloon when Carl's, like, right next to it or something. And I like how this spot right, he's using the coffee grinder to steer the house. Where originally, in that same spot, Ellie was using the bicycle wheel to steer the house. And later on, he's going to steer the house from that same thing, more like Ellie did in the original. Which I really like. And for anyone wondering, to actually do this, you would require 23 million balloons, but that's not accounting for how strong the string would need to be. So, yeah, there's a little fun fact for you.
So it could work, but
yes.
You'd need more balloons.
Yes. You need to... yeah. Stock in a balloon company, people. Yeah, this is such a sweet shot here. Like, after that waltz music, just easing into, like, the old man's happy. This film kind of embodies escapism. Something Pete Docter was striving towards, and I think he succeeded in that. Oh, this moment here is my favorite moment in the film, by the way. I know you're laughing at it already, but this moment where Carl, he just eased into the chair, and this moment reminds me of my grandfather 100%. He does this all the time. He goes, here's a knock at the door. He eases back into it. Here's it again. That 100% is my grandfather. Makes me laugh every time. They captured it perfectly, and I'm sorry, I just have to bring that up. Oh, it's just so wonderful. And the translucency of the balloons, again, the detail is wonderful. It really is. Also, I love that door shot, by the way. And this is so funny. It was in the trailers, but it's so funny. Like, hi, Mr. Fredrickson. What are you doing here, kid? It's just hilarious. And just what really sells it is the fact that first he says no. There's that moment of pause, like, what? It's all right, because you know what's coming. But yeah. Also, I think this is interesting to point out. Originally, at one point in the story, Carl's mission was to literally join Ellie by doing this. Go up into the balloons and just, yeah. He was kind of going to heaven. So that was kind of the, it is a little out there, kind of more philosophical, but, it's, take that for what you will. Either way, same message, just kind of weird the way it went across originally. But, it's now changed. Originally, this is really shows you how influential the kid was in the voice acting. He, originally, Russell was going to be panicking, like crying, like, oh my god, I'm up in a floating house, what am I going to do? And like, he was crying, like Carl was trying to entertain the kid by putting him on the electronic chair, going up and down, just trying to make the kid stop crying. But Jordan Nigel, he just seemed like the kid that wouldn't worry, and he'd be more intrigued by the situation, saying, "Oh, your TV and clocks and stuff, Mr. Fredrickson." This scene is hilarious. Where Carl's like hanging the kid out the window, hanging Russell out the window, and this, I think a lot of this is when he just says, "Well, that's not going to work." I love the fact that Carl dreamed that, saying, "Huh, okay, well, that's not going to work." Sorry, it's just that I love that so much, and I think that gag doesn't get it due justice because it's just so funny. And originally they were going to actually do that, but then they just decided, "We'll make it a dream because it's a bus. We can't kill them all." I love the little detail that he's cutting the balloons with his house keys.
Yeah.
It's a nice detail. And you can tell Carl didn't really think this through. They didn't account for weather and stuff.
Yeah.
Or even tie stuff down.
I should mention there's a different an Aussie movie that has a similar premise, but they don't go as far. The guy doesn't go as far, but and it's done in live action, and it's a younger guy as well, but yeah, something similar happens. He gets caught in a storm, and that's why.
Well, by the way, I just want to mention, clouds are very hard to do in animation, especially at this time. Really, it's kind of this weird particle system because what you're doing is it's not a physical object. It's like you're going through the object. It's a clear object, so it's basically they are creating actual clouds with like a bunch of bubbles, and they have to map in the clear quality and the air quality. It's a tough thing to do, especially for stormy clouds and rain. Tough stuff, but. This was such a tense scene, wasn't it, with all the stuff?
Yeah.
So it is a plot device, though. The kind of like how are he and this kid going to be trapped on Paradise Falls? In Paradise Falls, like he doesn't want this kid to go with him. He's just going to drop him off. Like how do they get him from point A to point B? So they say, well, it's a storm, and the kid has a GPS, so he gets him there. Which is it's a good conceit. And originally they teased this. Originally, it was going to be Carl woke up in his bed, and he thought the whole thing was a dream. He goes toilet, and he sees the thing just trails downward, so there's no bottom to the house. And also, by the way, there was a real funny gag in that storm, but they kind of decided not to put it in because it's a little out there. But I wish they did. It's like the storm happens. There's a storm. Let's go to the basement. They go to the basement and realize there's no basement. Which I thought was hilarious. But I like how they're subtly mapping in the father angle with Russell. Like Russell's past here saying, "My dad gave it to me. We'll never get lost." And this was in and out during the editing stage. Like the editor was saying, "Let me guess, we're putting it back in." Yeah. And this cloud thing's real, by the way. Just like looking down, there's nothing but cloud. That's something that really happens at Tepui in South America. How beautiful does this movie look, Magpie?
It's beautiful.
I know, it's these clouds, and I would never go to Paradise Falls, never go to South America, but I think I've lived the experience by watching this film. I like it. Looks nice. Again, just these things coming out of nowhere. It's a tense scene, and this scene does accomplish a lot of things. So they have to keep in mind, they have to get them out of this house, so they can't just be in the house. So it'd be the worst case scenario. Okay, I'm just going to live here now. 2, they have to get out of the house so they can cling on to it somehow, so they can drag the house. It has to be up in the air somehow. So a lot of things has to get serviced in this moment here. Good for them figuring it out. And I love this bit of animation coming up. Right after, Carl's like, yeah! It's hilarious, but this bit right here, I love this animation, how determined Carl looks, and kind of this, you're really worried for Carl in this moment, where he's breathing while he's holding on to things with his eyes closed as the clouds are passing. It's like, hold on, Ellie, I'm not going to let go, that sort of thing. I really love that. Just it's
Beautiful.
so endearing. I can rewatch this film so many times. I'm finding new things every time.
I'm probably going to end up rewatching this later on.
I'm surprised you haven't already, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah,
And I love how the light comes out like after literally the storm passes in a way. It's not a storm, it's clouds, but the storm passes after Carl like holding on. I was like, you're worried, oh no, what's going to happen next? It's like, oh, hey, our hero's getting rewarded. And it's this beautiful shot of the falls, which are the Angel Fall. The Paradise Falls are called the Angel Falls, by the way. This whole waterfall here. And I love how they captured even the detail of the rainbow, Magpie. They captured that. It's breathtaking, isn't it? And again, Tapoi stands for tabletop mountains, as you can see in these large establishing shops. There's literally are tabletops. The idea is since Pangea happened, they shifted into these weird states, and it's old sedimentary rock that's corroded over years into many different shapes, and that's why we have these like weird structures all around the place. And I love to this scene you have such a comedic punchline that he's literally that close and he can't do it because the kid can't climb up. And this frustrated pacing on Carl, and so he's just pacing back and forth because he's so frustrated and angry. Like, I come just to get stuck on the wrong side of a rock. And again, the caricature look here, I should mention this while he's climbing on as he climbed on Carl's square-shaped head, cube-shaped head. There's this really Al Hirschfeld influence of the design of caricature. When I say Al Hirschfeld, I mean basically the genie from Aladdin. That's kind of the look from Al Hirschfeld. It's the idea of caricaturing it to that level, so it's like not uber realistic. Because why see a movie where real people could be in it? Let's just stylize it, make it a little more appealing. Don't go into the uncanny valley, so to speak. Like no Polar Express. Keep it cool looking. Keep it animated, which they do here. Yeah. And keep in mind, when they did the animation for Carl, they did have to do their research for those senior Olympics and watching their grandparents on film, because you can't animate Carl like Woody. It can't be that fluid with the movements. And there are at least 120 structures here, by the way, of these little rock monument statues.
Yep.
I know it's passing rapidly, but I like that line about no rap music or flash dancing. See, we're going to get past. We have 3 days. This is great exposition, by the way. We have 3 days to get from here to the falls, or we're not going to the falls. And without any rap music or flash dancing, we're going to get there. It's just a real fun line. I love how just that good rack focus shot of Ellie in the house. We just had, we see Ellie. He's like, don't worry, Ellie, we're going to get you across. So endearing, the plot for this film. Usually it goes back actually Ellie's in the house, and they kind of go back to that picture to show Ellie's in the house, her soul's in the house somehow.
Yeah.
Again, it's nice. And now this is what movie are we in now? It's we're in a totally different film right now. This fog and this chase happening right now.
Yeah.
With this roadrunner-like bird creature.
Yep.
The tease for this is great, by the way. You don't know what it is. If it's that it is the bird.
Yep.
And again, I like how they've gone to the trouble of setting that up earlier in the first act. We recognize these dogs vaguely. You really notice this on the rewatch. Yeah, these dogs are from the opening because they have the collars and stuff. And also the bird skeleton. So you know what this is, the monster of Paradise Falls. It's the bird. Really holds up on the second watch and every watch afterwards. And I know it's past, but I love that little line about Russell's home life. My mom loves that game. Let's play Who Made Quiet the Longest. Oh, my mom loves that game. And the score, what it really does is it keeps some silly... It takes what could possibly be silly, but grounds it so dramatically, the score of this film, especially for those aspects, like that giant chase scene. It's dogs, talking dogs, yet it's like you're really, oh my god, what's happening here? This is good chase music, you know, like, oh boy.
It is quite good.
That's really Giacchino's strength. He approaches all these scores, you know, dramatically or realistically, but also keeps them jazzy and fun. Jazzy, literally, in the Incredibles case, but you know what I mean. And Pixar, they don't do it often, but when they do it, it's funny. The bathroom joke. Also, the sonic feedback was a nice touch. What do you think of the jungle set here? Just the look of the jungle set.
It looks like an old movie type jungle.
Like an old serial jungle of sorts.
Yeah.
Or like the kind of that African Screams or African Queens Humphrey Bogart movie. Oh, it took place in a jungle. Sorry, has that nice quality to it. Originally, Russell just cut the bird free out of a trap, but you have to show this bird's crafty. It hasn't been caught in so many years, so they have him going whizzing by the traps. And what they do here, I love this explanation for how Russell bonds with the bird, how he finds the bird. I think it just chocolate makes so much sense. It's something the dogs he would never give the dogs.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have access to it. It makes such perfect sense. It's the illogical logic. It's my word of the day in all these Pixar commentaries. I love it.
Yeah.
And Pete Docter does the voice of Kevin. And there's like an ostrich. He went to the zoo. Oh, sorry, I gotta mention this. I love this police squad framing. This just feels so Pete Docter to me, like this comedy sense. Just this shot here of Carl like doing stuff, and he's not realizing the bird, which is off screen because it's so darn tall. Carl's just saying, "They do indeed." He doesn't realize it until he turns around. Do they like chocolate? Chocolate. Oh, the bird's so cute, isn't it, Kevin?
Yes.
But yeah, the reference for the bird was they went to the San Francisco Zoo, I believe. I think it was that. And Pete Docter saw like the ostrich and how the ostrich like looks so erratic in the movements, like kind of inspiration for Kevin. A little bit of emu in there also.
Emu.
Yeah. But also, Kevin, I love how Pete Docter described this once. If you were inside Kevin's head, all you'd hear would be static. I love that's just like the perfect description. Also, in the look of Kevin, it has this puppet look to it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I know, it's just so cool. And again, you saw kind of that puppet look with Monsters, Inc., kind of that Jim Henson look. You get that with here. Yeah. This is literally a big bird.
No, it's not yellow.
Yeah. The bird's mocking him. I'm sorry. Again, this film is probably Pixar's funniest film, in addition to its most heartfelt.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cute here. Like the kid's like using the bird like stilts here. By the way, I love this. This is such a sweet moment here. Well, after this little mole gag, which is funny. Then a tiny mole. That doesn't even rhyme. Yeah, it does. But this moment right here is sweet. When the bird's on top of the house and he's talking to the house, Ellie. Because you have to remember, the house is basically, Ellie as the house is a fifth character to this film, really. And again, I like how Russell picks up on that, saying, Ellie. Hey, Ellie, can we take the bird? I told him no. I told you no. Such a great moment, isn't it? Feeding the bird chocolate. I can still see you back there. But it's such a sweet moment that the house is referred. Just he's consulting the house, kind of. And also, these rock formations are based on real ones they saw there. The turtle, then the person. And John Lasseter suggested they use that. He said, "Oh, you should have seen the rock formations here, John." And he says, "Well, why don't you use that in the film? That'd be cool." They did. Now, Doug is voiced by Bob Peterson. And it's based on his dog, actually. Doug. And actually, Doug was in like another Pixar film.
Really?
Well, when I say another Pixar, I mean they were tossing around a lot of ideas for other Pixar films, and Doug was in there. The reason he's not in there is that the films were canceled. They weren't put into production, so they used him here. And you can actually see a teaser of Doug, because they do this tradition now in Pixar where they show characters to the next film in their films as like a little teaser, like a little Easter egg. And he's in Ratatouille. He has a shadow on the wall as Remy's climbing up the building in Paris.
Ah.
So you see a shadow of a dog barking at him, and that's Doug. Also, this line here that Doug said was after he's scaring him, saying, "Hi there." But the line here says, "I have already met you and I love you." That was said to Bob Peterson when he was a camp counselor by a kid, and it just stuck with him, and he finally had a chance to use it. And there's the famous gag, Magpie. Would you like to say it?
What?
You know, what's that over there?
Oh, what's that over there?
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Yeah, I love that.
Squirrel is such a great gag, and I love how this makes sense to the dog collar. It's just that he still acts like a dog, and he's thinking like a dog, but you see here in that broadcast. Dog's so lovable, isn't he? Look at him.
Mm.
I love how polite he is, even though he's kind of suggesting either some demented things here or just suggesting kind of like, can I have the bird as my prisoner? Oh, please be my prisoner. It's funny. That's the reason he bonds with Carl, because Carl says, "Yeah, take the bird. I don't care. Get out of here." But it's a talking dog. Well, now we have our other dogs here, and they brought in a dog expert, by the way, to go, again, for research. These guys do a heck of a lot of research for their films.
Yes, they do.
Remember, dogs, animals, particularly horses, but also dogs. Surprisingly, dogs have gotten easier over time, but they're hard to animate or nail down the movements because you have to move them like a dog, not a person. And they brought in that dog expert, and they got the kind of these I don't know how quite to describe it. The alpha, beta, gamma, omega, because these are like types of dogs. It's like a placement in like dog society, if you will. And like they have these movements, like these little interactions. Like every movement the dog's making in sync with the collars, like how they are. Like see right here, they kind of go into their bellies. Sorry, squirrel gag. Over here, they're going to their bellies on the ground here in front of Alpha. That's saying, we submit to you, Alpha. You're the leader. We'll do what you say. That sort of stuff. It's like when dogs are feeling insecure, they would go down like that to kind of show. Or actually, they show their bellies when they're trying to show. Like when they go on there when they're scared, and when they show their bellies when they're saying, "Okay, I submit to you. You're in charge." Again, a lot of detail in the movements, like the dog ears, how they move, and Alpha. You can't actually do what Alpha has for his ears anymore. You can tell Alpha has like this kind of thing that would have been done back then when Muntz had this dog. The cutting the dog's ears, because Alpha's ears here are cut upwards, and they shouldn't be, because they make him look more devil-like. It's really the reason. I love the small mailman line. It's just so funny. It's just, and I love how they just keep going, "Who's that small mailman? Hey, Doug, who are you talking to?" Bob Peterson also does the voice of Alpha, by the way, and yes, he did the voice with the Alvin and the Chipmunks squeak. It's inspired by Alvin and the Chipmunks and basically what people will do with the records. When you speed up a record player and you have that high-pitched noise. And Jerome Rampt, Joe Rampt's, I think his brother or I want to say brother. If not brother, then cousin. I'm pretty sure it's his brother. Doing the voice of Gamma there, the bulldog-looking thing. I love this device here. I know I keep just saying I love things, but bear with me, people. I love this film. I really do.
Yeah.
But this is a nice touch here about the how vulnerable the house is. When he breaks a window. When I was seeing that from the film, I was like, you're going into this film. You and I assume, Magpie, we're seeing this film. We're thinking, oh no, I hope this house makes it through there. We're with Carl through his journey because we've seen that opening. We're saying we're with Carl through his journey. We're hoping he's successful in that journey. And you don't want the house to get smashed up. You have that worry for the house because the house in itself is Ellie. And you want Ellie to survive in some way. She survives in a whole different way at the end of the film. But, she's surviving here. We don't want the house to get injured, like breaking windows. So the house is a vulnerable thing. it literally is a burden on their shoulders in a way. You know, they're literally carrying this burden. I love the physics here, like this sort of astronaut moon physics. Like, he's just like floating up the side of the cliff, and they both weigh it down just about. It's this grounded, believable physics, even though it probably wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, technically this could work, but, you know, again, it's accounting for, like, the miracle possibility if a house could fly.
Yeah.
And this is, again, just... I hope I don't make you cry by the end of this, Magpie, telling you all this stuff.
Nah.
But yeah, this is a nice touch about the... how the house is shielding them from the rain. It's like Ellie's, oh, thanks for keeping us warm, Ellie. Such a nice touch. The whole reference to the house being alive. And just shows like Carl just trying to keep her alive in any way possible by referring to the house as her. And he realizes later on that's something he doesn't need to do that. Because Ellie can't die in his heart, really.
No.
This is a fun gag, how like it's how the thing slashes him with that like slingshots across the canyon. The tent he's trying to build. That's for you. Again, that's Pete Sohn doing a lot of reference for Russell, and like the tent scene is also him like setting up a tent, and they record and then they map that into the animation. He did dress up like Russell just to showcase the animation. That's everyone making fun of him, saying, "Yeah, you are Russell." Basically is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pete Sohn used to like kind of be like the security at his uncle's Korean grocery store, I think. Or it's either uncle's or grandmother's Korean grocery store, and basically be like, make sure no one took anything. But he was a kid back then, so keep that in mind. I haven't seen a film do such good exposition since the last Pixar film I watched. It's perfectly done. There was a cave. I'm sorry, I just want to mention, it was a cave, but now it was Ellie the house, which was an even better ad. Much better than putting it into a cave. But, this exposition. Would you like to talk about the scene, Magpie?
Sorry,
I mean, I'll actually say this. I love here, it's done visually also. I mentioned, like, there's more to this kid than you think. And that's in the scene. And I love that bit right there when you see the missing badge on Russell's heart. It's like right where Russell's heart is, that missing badge. Because that's really what he's missing in his character arc. He thinks that if he gets that badge, everything's going to be okay. Because we don't know Russell's situation. We don't need to know Russell's situation 100%. It's like, Carl is not really trying too much. Oh, but I'm sorry. I just love this bit right here. It says, cross your heart. Like Ellie said to him. That got me in the theater. Like, oh. And just the sternness of Carl's delivery there crossed my heart. But yeah, it's just that it dawns on Carl in that scene, this is my fault that this kid's here. It kind of dawns on, this kid, he's wanted that badge so much. And it's kind of, he reflects Carl's journey there, because they both want something. They think it's a physical object, but it's really an emotional journey. Really. It is, and the frog gag is also funny. He just hits the frog like an alarm clock. Yeah, he just thinks it'll fix everything. Like, he gets the badge, the family's going to be together. Like, his father is an absentee dad. We don't know if it's because he's fooling around with a lady. We don't know if it's because they're divorced. We assume divorce. We don't know exactly. Could just be like he's not home a lot. Well, actually, wait, he is divorced. Sorry. We don't know for certain. The point is the father's not there for him. We don't need to know the rest of the details. And this point gag's also funny on Doug's part. Point! Really? Wrong way? Point! And there's the brand, again. Kevin needs some brand like the rest of us.
Tell me when the dogs show up.
Okay. But yeah, also I love the visual passage of time that's shown with the with all the balloon with the balloons starting to go down. It's Carl realizing, no, time's running out. We got to get going. There are the twisty rocks, and again, good exposition. Doug just saying, okay, well, for her babies, Kevin's a girl. And I like how Kevin, when he says his goodbyes, her goodbyes here, she, I'm sorry, I keep saying he. She keeps, like, she like says goodbye to them in the way she knows them. She cuddles up to Russell. Kevin's looking at the bushes right now, but yeah, Carl, she clonks Carl in the head because that's how she knows him, and he screams at Doug. It's just a funny touch, and he's milking the chocolate bit. Now there's more chocolate for you. Now the dogs are there.
Okay.
Yeah, Ralph Guggenheim did such a good job with these color scripts. With just the lighting in this whole scene, just how the color comes across. For the whole film, really. But, yeah. And I like how... And this is Doug's arc here, when you see, the dog physics here, him, showing his belly right now, because he's saying, I'm submitting to you. It's, Doug's arc is to become the next alpha, and you see how far his arc has to go. Because okay, there's a talking dog here, and we like this dog. And now we're seeing, and there's some scary dogs. Again, it's nicely visually done, again, with that that dog physics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Doug's arc. He goes a long way. All our characters in this film go a long way. They do.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Now the dog is sadly trailing back there, saying, "Oh, I don't know. I don't like what's going to come next." By the way, for when Doug first meets Carl, it's going to make you. It was his birthday when he met Carl. He says, "I wish I had a new master." In the short called Doug's Special Mission, it's on the DVD.
Oh.
Yeah, I love this. This is a reference to King Kong. This building tension, traveling to this place in the score. It's real King Kong, just the scale to see how small the house looks in comparison to this cave. Which, by the way, I'm going to do a video on this at some point. But there's a sequence. It's in almost might be there's a sequence in every Pixar film really where since Monsters Inc. really, it's called Yeti's Cave. Yeti's Cave is when something just is the hardest sequence in the movie to nail down. It goes through so many revisions and such. And this was it's literally at a cave, which is ironic, and Pete Docter film, like Monsters Inc. So it's also funny, but yeah. This scene had so many revisions, just getting months just right in this whole meeting scene. But yeah, it's Charles Muntz is voiced by Christopher Plummer, and voiced so well. Christopher Plummer is such a good actor.
Yeah, most famous for The Sound of Music and Star Trek 6, and he was in...
The Imaginary of Dr. Parnassus.
Yeah, and which was Heath Ledger's last film.
Yes.
And Inside Job.
Yeah. I love the idea here of meeting your hero and not living up to the expectations, because that's a real thing that does happen.
Yes, it does.
And have to remember, Muntz had such an impact on Carl and I. He's even telling him here, we loved you so much when we were kids. Again, Carl, he basically, without Muntz, we wouldn't have Carl and Ellie meeting each other, because they bonded over that, they were explorers, and they loved Charles Muntz. And it's just funny that, again, it's this perfect kind of symmetry. It's it's just so well constructed. This whole, he's like a visual representation of what Carl's clinging to the past, just kind of clinging to that dream of the adventure of going to Paradise Falls. And it's really, it's like everything's against him in this film. Like that.
Yeah.
Muntz literally, his childhood hero is trying to kill him, as he points it later on. And we know, and I like how we know Muntz's motivation's a little given that opening.
Yeah.
And now, originally, again, many revisions. So one of the revisions was, you would walk in here in this hangar, and there'd be this little stretch. It'd be kind of a creepy scene. This little stretch of this little 30s meeting room, waiting room. So basically, lounge music playing in this giant air hangar. Also, Jiminy Cricket. That's a Pinocchio reference. Poor Alf with the cone of shame. But yeah, there's going to be this little waiting room, and Muntz is going to come out. He was going to be 30 years old. The main plot with Muntz originally was it was going to be a fountain of youth thing. The bird was going to lay an egg that basically you drank the yolk and you would be an eternal youth, basically. You'd be younger forever. That's what Muntz was after. problem was, Carl doesn't. It's not really a parallel with Carl's journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I love how Muntz has this Walt Disney presence about him, like that music, where he's going to the spirit of adventure, the ritual. I love how there's this subtle message of this detour from the plot. He's detouring literally from the plot. Like the real critics out there saying, like, where are we now? Why are we in this movie? Like, why are we talking about Muntz? I was in the house story right now. But now where are we going with this? What they're doing is they're acknowledging that by they punish. There are consequences to the scene. This whole scene, there are consequences to it by the end of it, as you're aware, Magpie, and as our audience is hopefully aware.
Yeah.
Things that go south because of this meeting, and it's consequence for Carl, like it's an underlying consequence for you didn't do what you said you were going to do, and you're kind of derailing from that. So you're going to punish you a little bit, like you beat up the house a little and injure the bird, make things worse. These plates, the seared scallop here, and the that line he said when he was picking out the food, surprised me. That's all from Ratatouille. They reused the props from Ratatouille. I love how the house is like visually in the middle of the two. And of course, the bird's in the house. It's like literally both the objects of their desire in the middle between them. That just represents the feud. I'm just noticing this right now, to be honest with you.
Sure.
Yeah. Also, the trailers, I think, kind of ruined the reveal of Muntz. Would you agree?
No.
When I say ruin the reveal, I mean like ruin the reveal that he's a bad guy.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I think it's a little obvious in the trailer he's the bad guy. And I kind of wish they didn't do that. But that's marketing. I can't blame them for that.
No.
I love how Muntz is, at first he's shown as this likable guy. Again, that Walt Disney presence. Yeah. Also, I know it's past, but those skeletons that were in that room, all the monster skeletons, those beasts, they're all based on real beasts, by the way.
Oh, really?
They're just like out of scale, like saying the giant Sumatran leopard tortoise. Like it's bigger than it would actually be, but still, that's they are based on real things. Oh, the lighting here looks beautiful, doesn't it? They're really playing on this Howard Hughes influence with Muntz here.
Yeah.
That insanity that kind of followed. That really eccentricity, and there was actually a really funny birthday cake sequence that was cut, where like after the meal, like dogs would sing Happy Birthday. They bring in a giant cake and they just cut them a piece. Being dogs, they cut them a piece and give them cake. And it was end on that, like when they left, they're saying that was weird. At one point, it was funny. What Muntz really does here is he reflects Carl. It's not so much preserving and living in the past. It's literal goal fulfillment versus emotional goal fulfillment. Muntz is living in that literal goal fulfillment, as Carl is right now. But Carl's arc is going to be he realizes it's about the emotional fulfillment of that goal. And it's also like a warning of obsession. Like if Carl might be obsessed if he goes a little too much about this house, because really he has nothing left to live for after he gets that house there, if he keeps going on the path the Muntz is going to. It's a good thing he doesn't go there. But also, I guess Muntz is also looking for an emotional goal fulfillment also. Think about it, it's kind of that prospector villain quality. This guy was set up to be trusted, and he was an idol of Carl's. And it's kind of sad to see Muntz's fall, because he was his great adventurer. This scene is great, by the way. The lighting here just goes blue and creepy. After it's implied Muntz kills people. Did you think Muntz killed those people?
No.
I don't know. Just saying, like the botanist, a surveyor making a map. I can't wait to see how this one ends. It sounds like he's killed those people. What do you think happened to him?
Accidents.
Well, quote-unquote accidents is what I'm thinking.
Maybe.
It sounds like he's implying that he did stuff that he led to their death. is what I'm thinking. But I could be wrong, but I think he's, yeah. Kind of shows you how crazy he's gotten. Like, it's such paranoia. And he thinks people are after his bird when they're really not. He thinks they're after his bird, and he possibly killed them. And that was like a great visual respite. There's a great visual bit too. Like he's like has the explorer caps like Carl had. We know Carl and Ellie had those hats, and he's like rolling them down the wooden planks. But yeah, it's months is Carl losing sight of that realization that it has to be emotional over literal goal fulfillment. And you see how embittered Muntz really is, and how Muntz is so embittered for like being accused of being a liar back then. That's why it's such a literal goal fulfillment for him. It's kind of emotional too that they took that away from his biggest accomplishment. That society took that away from him. So he, like Carl, escaped from that society. It's escapism, and that he escaped from that to prove himself. Though he escaped for a reason.
Yeah, I should bring up. There was a theory that when the platypus was discovered, that was thought to be fake because there was thought, there's no way that animal could ever exist, and it wasn't until a lot of other people came out here that they proved that it was.
Well, apparently they didn't see Phineas and Ferb. Or Perry the Platypus.
No.
I'm kidding. Oh, but yeah, this is a great chase, and again, there's some more. The consequences is all the consequences are in this scene right here. This chase, which is really well scored and well done with the bird. They're hopping on the bird now. Things are getting up there, and like Russell almost falls off a cliff. The bird gets bit, and the house is getting punished a little because it's going through the cave. Again, it's like visual consequences for the actions, which I think is a nice touch.
Yeah.
Yep.
More blood.
Yeah. That surprised me. I really did. Again, from idle to intimidating foe. And in that scene where Muntz just turned on, I was like, that lighting, the score, and the performance equals a really tense scene. You haven't had your cherries Jubilee, Carl. The boy's right. You haven't had dessert. Oh, boy. And this is you'll notice that Carl still hasn't really come full around here yet. He's getting there, but it's like he looks at the house before he checks the house before he checks the bird and everyone else. But again, I like how Carl does the right thing in the end. You're saying, okay, we'll do it. We have to do it fast. And not because he's being mean-spirited, like I care about my house first and foremost. You're saying, okay, because you know how much this house means to him. Again, I know I keep repeating myself here. If I do that, feel free to chime in with something else. But yeah, it's just we're so driven and we're so with this character. We're hoping successfully, but it's like kind of like Woody in the first Toy Story, in that it's this character's making some wrong choices maybe, but we're kind of with no, don't make these choices. Like oh Carl, why? Or like oh poor guy.
Yeah, it's just we're just waiting for that moment where he lets go.
Yeah. And it's going to be a heart-wrenching moment given that opening, so that we have to have just the right amount of build to that scene. We have to literally experience Carl's character arc ourselves.
Yep.
Again, that was the cost of helping the bird, is that the house is going to get deflated a little.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate the house got punished in that escape, by the way. And you feel bad for Doug. Doug almost died during that scene. The lighting here looks great. This nighttime lighting, I'm in love with it. This moonlight.
Really?
Yeah, this is also more a nice visual cue here. I'm sorry, not a visual cue. A nice, real subtle cue here about what Russell's saying to he's setting up Fenton's for the end, because at the end they end up in the ice cream place that is actually in California, near Pixar, I believe. He's saying, I do it, my kid, like Carl's like rolling his eyes. I like how initially they bond over, being explorers. Like, I didn't expect it to be like this. You're telling me. Or, I could have told you that. It's nothing like I read in the books. I could have told you that. But this scene right here, it's what Russell's saying. It's, sorry. It's him saying that, life's about the boring things. Maybe I kind of miss the boring things. Like doing that. That's Carl saying, maybe it's the little things in life that mattered. Maybe that was the real adventure. And it's starting to resonate with Carl at that point. And I like how it's like they're hinting at it really nicely. They're really subtly laying it in there. So it really pays off when it does. And this is like an MGM film moment right here, with the dirigible coming up right behind him, and then this everything's blowing on the ground, and the light, it's just so cool. It's such a classic movie, like an X-Files sort of MGM movie thing. Looks great. It's such a tension-filled scene. Of course, this is where the most unfortunate thing happens. We're getting to the low point of the film right now.
Yeah.
Now, originally, this scene, it was it's just so heart-wrenching. Oh, God. I feel so bad. Sorry. I feel so bad for Carl. It's that fire coming off of Muntz right there. Originally, it was going to be Muntz inside the house. You're going to have this reveal of, oh, my God, Muntz is inside the house. He's going through Carl's belongings. He's reading from the adventure book, making fun of Carl, saying, oh, you want to go to Paradise Falls, huh? Well, here you are. And it felt wrong because no one should be in the house except Carl until he actually gets in the house, So they they changed it from that. But this is even more intense. Like, Muntz just makes that split decision. Give me the bird right now. He knows the house is important to Carl. He throws down the lamp. Carl, can you blame Carl for going for the house, really?
No, not really.
Again, I mean, it's a bad thing that happens to the bird here. It's kidnapped, but you feel we're so emotionally tied to Carl. I was wrenching where I was like, I'm with Carl with this 100%. No. We know how much this house means to Carl. We seem like Ellie's kind of dying a little when that picture falls during the fire. Little picture of Ellie falls when the thing catches fire. And we're like, oh my God. Carl, save her. Now we've reached the low point of the film. Carl's getting angry with Russell. And it's brought out by this lighting here. And Doug's saying, it's okay, master. See? I am not your master. You're a bad dog. Everyone's kind of at their... Yeah, that fire was a jaw-dropping moment for me. Also, I like the detail of the heat reacting to the balloons, the balloons reacting to the heat. They're getting, oxidized in the center, so, they're popping. It was a nice touch. And this is really this Red Dawn angry lighting here, done by the... Yeah. This is a Ronnie Del Carmen board, by the way, this whole silhouetted scene here. Ronnie Del Carmen, he actually's worked in comics a little. He's a phenomenal story man. He's worked on Toy Story 3. He's worked on this. Especially, this is probably one of his best works. But he's also done some Batman comics. Particularly Batman animated comics. Like some of the Harley and Ivy stories. He's done some of that. The guy's really talented. I love Ronnie Del Carmen's storyboards. But I love his storyboards for this film too, and that's wonderful. Just wanted to bring that up real quick. And now we're kind of at this real bittersweet moment in the film, where Carl has achieved his goal. Russell's not even helping him out at this point, because he's just kind of almost disgusted with Carl about that you just see that visual image, and this Ronnie Del Carmen image of the clip just dragging across the ground, like he's abandoned Carl. Really, we see the shot of the image, and then we see the falls. He's reached his goal, Yet everyone's still sad. And he's saying, I don't want this anymore. That's Russell. Russell represents where Carl needs to get in that moment. Russell's a little ahead of Carl right now. He knows where he is emotionally. He's already reached his arc. Basically, I don't need this anymore. You need to realize that. He throws it down the ground. And this is such a moving scene right here. This more than the opening. Not more than the opening. Short of the opening, this is my favorite scene in the film. This and one other scene that comes later. If I had to boil it down to 3 moments in the entire film. Just it's just also it's just Russell rejecting what physically brought him there to the falls, by throwing the thing down the ground, and Carl picking it up. Now showing how much Carl's coming around. He would like to get rid of this kid. And this house is the perfect metaphor for Carl right now. It's like it's all jumbled emotionally on the inside. Everything's tossed aside. He has to set it straight, but still, like, something's not right. It's like a lamp still crooked in the foreground there. Yet when this scene ends, you see how Ellie's just infused this room with light and life at the same time. It's like it gets lighter and things like right now it's really dim lighting wise. It's like just like really bland, not bland. I'm sorry, I mean like just kind of. Those are Ellie Doctor's drawings, by the way, in the book. Pete Doctor's daughter's drawings and stuff in the book. But yeah, it's just like it's really like muted lighting here, and then later on it warms up after he comes to that emotional.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep from crying.
Yeah.
Sorry, this scene really gets me almost as much as the opening, but it's like that empty emotional mess, and now the detail. I love the detail on Carl in this scene. I noticed this in the theater, like the liver spots on his hand, the dirt on his hands, and actually not dirt on his knuckles, and he's growing a beard. Look how detailed that is.
It's amazing.
You know what I mean? It's amazing. Oh, this gets me. These photographs.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. Like he's just had so much guilt, and in that look before he's going through the book, when he just has his hand on the page, stuff I'm going to do. You read on his face how guilty and pain, the guilt, the pain, and the regret of his actions. Like, oh, what? Why couldn't you? I wish I could have had you here to witness this, It's that emotional moment. I'm so sorry, Ellie. But in this moment, everything warms up. The acting on Carl is he's welling up with tears, you can tell. And these photographs are based off real photographs, by the way. There's no dialogue in this scene. I feel bad for talking over it. But
yeah.
The surprise. It's just such surprise just going through these pages. And yeah. Pixar, what they did here, it's not that people would say, oh, they bummed me out this film. No, they didn't. They showed the progression of a life. They just didn't hold back at all. They didn't. And that's Ronnie Del Carmen's handwriting for Ellie, by the way. That Go Have an Adventure. It goes from painful, it goes from like such pain to emotion to, just that happiness on Carl's face. And just the photo quality of it, and in that moment, Carl, at the end of that scene in itself should just get a big Oscar right there. That could have been a short, and it would have gotten an Oscar. It's just, that's Ellie's last gift. Ellie's life to Carl was the true adventure. It's Carl discovering adventure in the little moments. Like, we did go on adventure. Ellie, that's visually shown in that book. He's going through the pages, and Ellie put all those images in there, because to her, that was her adventure. And that's Carl, he's going through it, he's just discovering, my life was an adventure. I didn't, I filled that, we fulfilled that goal. I did go on an adventure. It's just so emotionally satisfying. And now that he's gone through that arc, he's tossing everything out, but he's still paying homage to Ellie by having like the chairs out there on the cliff in the same spot in the Paradise Falls. So he's still kind of saying, I respect this goal we set out to do, and still I'm going to save Russell now. I gotta mention how the color lightened by the end of that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like it's a nice nod to him and Ellie with the square and the balloon chair. Well, this little round chair. It's like the house we're starting to get more seeds of what's to come in the ending. Like, the house isn't Ellie, so he's dumping all the stuff so he can save Russell. I like just the visual image of this old man trying to lift his house.
I love that.
It's just so, so beautiful. Again, now it's like he's saying, the house isn't Ellie, but he's saving his new family now, Russell. He's saving Russell. And And he removed what tied him down all these years by clearing out the house. All the things that have tied him down, all these memories of Ellie. He's now made peace with it. Like, you don't need the physical objects to have those memories.
No.
But he just dumped them so he can, like, go on with the new adventure that he's on. This is, like, his actual last... This is the last unfulfilled promise. Other than that whole going to Paradise Falls thing, this is his unfulfilled promise to Russell he's fulfilling now. With the same vigor that he did with going to Paradise Falls, which is really, real satisfying. The dogs playing poker was hilarious, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm going on this emotional speech and I say, dogs playing poker. I like the interior, by the way. It's like the sort of pet thing that dogs would have. Going around with dog carpeting. Which is really nice. I love how Muntz is so callous about this. And again, it makes me think that he's killed people before Magpie.
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
He doesn't expect Carl to save this kid.
No.
And I like, also in that moment, I know it's past, but how Muntz, like Carl, just a few moments ago, has achieved his goal in a moment. It's like, the bird's there. Like, oh, there's the bird. I finally achieved it. There you are. He's going back to the city now to show everyone. It's really sad because Muntz, he could have gone there any time. He would have been accepted because he was an explorer. He had this illustrious career. But he wasted that, and it's kind of the way Carl almost did here. Oh, by the way, age-wise, Muntz is about 90. Technically, he should be 100, but he's like 90, and Carl's 78. By the way, in case you're wondering about the ages.
Yeah, I was just curious about that, because...
Yeah. But yeah, Carl's officially 78, and Muntz is in his 90s. I'd say mid-90s. Even though he's very spry for being in the 90s, though.
Yeah. Just
want to point that out. Doesn't bother me. It's something I think is worth noting. Technically, he should be 100, but, still, he's a little too spry for 100.
Yeah. Just looking at this, this is very... It's very much a Zeppelin design.
Yes.
What
the dirigible really visually represents, because we know what happens to dirigibles and blimps and Zeppelins. They explode! Oh, Toy Story, they explode!
Yeah, and by the way, it wasn't the helium that exploded on the Hindenburg.
Yeah, true. Well, I don't know I'm not even going to get into that now. But,
no, it didn't.
Oh. Well, I mean, it's believed to, but I'm not saying it did.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did. Well,
because helium burns... It burns clear. Now, if you remember the Hindenburg, it burnt very not clear.
Yes.
Very orange.
Very fine. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of illustrating the argument, but yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But the thing here, I love that gag where he just threw the tennis ball. But it's like now Carl, you can tell in the animation, Carl's now has a spring in his step. That's the reason they were so true to the old man animation, so you get it just right for when he does that change later on. So he basically is like Indiana Jones or Batman now. Old man Batman right now. And they did this nice little film school technique here. Basically, he turned his old people... Sorry. These kind of the old person things that would tie him down, like kind of like say, oh no. But now it's like using him as his greatest strength. They're using his like elderly gadgets, which I find endlessly amusing. Again, it's that film school conceit. Like originally he was using like the hearing aids like a sonic grenade. Then he was using pills like to trip up the dogs. It was funny. I mean, I wish some of those got in there, but there's too much time. I love the score. I know it's past, but when he was like on top of the cage, like da 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 da. At this moment, it was milked in the trailer, and again, it's past. But the moment where like Russell's just like gliding on the glass, again, that kind of gave away Muntz as the bad guy. But you know what sells it to me in that scene? It just cracks me up.
What?
The eye twitch on Muntz. His eyes just twitching, like it was like what? And angry and confused at the same time. Now this is great. Doug, he bites his former master, who was a bad guy. Shows you how dogs come around. But of course, there's some consequences. Now he's being chased by the dogs, so that's part of his character arc. And here's that that film school conceit right here that they're dueling with the old person weapon and the other one with this old sword. And he's destroying everything that's in his path. So, kind of unlike Carl, he's destroying the things that he once valued. He's just being reckless in his pursuit, destroying all the things he loved at one time. Kind of like a reverse Carl. Or basically kind of the opposite of what Carl realized. Like, I don't need to preserve these things, but I don't need to destroy them. Also, there's an Easter egg on this wall. But it was in the dinner scene also, but the Gazer Beam skull from The Incredibles is in this blimp.
Mm-hmm.
Why would this blimp need a lever that does this?
That rolls it.
Yeah, why would you need that?
I gather it's...
I guess it's for cleaning.
No.
No, I don't know why it would be there. Like dogs don't touch this, as Bob Pearson once put it. Like, why would he... it just beats me why he would need something like that. And there was the money shot for the 3D when everything was flying out there now. This is kind of out there, but it's so cool, them climbing on the side of the balloon, of the Zeppelin. How do you feel about the biplanes, by the way?
I like them.
Yeah, they're
a bit ridiculous, but...
Yeah. What do you think about them having tranks instead of bullets?
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense, because you're hunting down the bird, and they don't want to kill it.
Yeah.
And this is great. And now Doug has come full circle. He's now become Alpha. And after that great porch line, by the way, which we glazed over, saying, I was under your porch because I love you. You're a good dog, Doug. Good boy. Again, all the stories and the arcs kind of tied together really nicely here. With, you leave Mr. Fredrickson's house alone. This bit here with Russell now, he can climb up the thing. He has the confidence. He has the drive that Carl did when he was a boy. Well, so not when he was a boy. I'm sorry, when Carl started this film.
Yeah.
But he can climb the thing. Squirrel! This is the perfect way to dispense with these guys, and I'm glad none of them perish in this explosion, because that'd be dark. I hate squirrels.
Have we had a matchstick moment in this yet?
Oh, it's coming up.
It's coming up? Oh, okay.
It's coming up. Oh, but yeah, it's like such a great blimp chase here.
I think I'm at it.
Oh yeah, well now the house is starting to come into. He's saying, "Mr. Fredrickson." Here we go. The matchstick moment of this film. Again, matchstick moment being what happens. It's kind of like the moment where we don't know what's going to happen next. Like things are going really badly for our characters, and we don't know what's going to happen to them next. This is a moment like right here. Like we saw Muntz leave for a bit. Now he's back, and the film is doing the complete opposite of its title. Things are going down. Bad stuff's going down at the same time. Muntz is like shooting the balloons down. Like the things that lifted him up, they're gone. Like things are bad. Like Carl can't possibly lift this thing off the thing. And how he stops it? I mean, the guy's amazingly strong. He's like a geriatric superhero right now. But yeah, it's such a tension-filled scene here. Like Muntz, you don't know if Muntz is going to shoot these guys or not. He doesn't want to shoot the bird. He's just trying to down the balloon. But still, it's rare. Since The Incredibles, we haven't had guns in a Pixar film. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Since Ratatouille, we haven't had guns in a Pixar film. There's something to point out. But this is great.
Yeah.
Such a tension-filled moment, and now they're... so now it's this chase inside the house, and Muntz died many ways, actually, originally. There are many different ways Muntz died. I like this one really is great. I mean, it's Carl, like, he's checking the family now instead of the house. Checking the group instead of the house now, because he's come full circle. Muntz, originally, it was going to be... there's going to be this... He would go to the Twisty Rocks where Kevin lived, and Carl was going to be with the bird, and Carl would... they'd go inside. It'd be the ending of The Shining, basically. They go inside, and the Muntz would be endlessly lost in this maze, this labyrinth. Because Muntz does refer to it as the labyrinth, and that's why they've lost so many dogs. Oh, this is a sad moment here. put a hopeful moment. The house goes. This my grandmother always loves to point this out to me. By the way, this he realized it was just a house, and she loves that part. And it's so true. This bit right here is just saying, you know what? It's just a house. But yeah, Muntz's endings were then it was like he would go inside the house, and all the other dogs would go inside the house following their master, and would weigh the house down, then would just basically drift downwards with Muntz in it with all the dogs. However, they didn't want to hint at a sequel. Again, that's Pixar going out of their way to make sure some things can't be made into a sequel, and so they didn't. Plus, it felt wrong just Muntz being with Ellie in a way. Would you agree?
Yeah.
That and then originally they were gonna. Then the last one was Muntz was going to jump out the window, and he was going to be going up, like the balloons. The balloons were going to, he'd be caught in the updraft. But then again, that's more sequel territory, so he went down. It was really nice. Sorry, Kevin's birds were cute. So they each had a little tennis ball. And I love how Carl kind of gets rewarded for his faith here when he gets the dirigible in the end. And there's Pete Docter, as the wilderness explorer, doing the voice and kind of the designs based off him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love that Muntz's ending in that it's Ellie, in a way, this may sound silly, but Ellie helped Carl. It's like Ellie's last act to help her husband. Like he jumps through the window, and he's caught in the strings of the balloons. It's almost as if Ellie's like helping Carl from beyond the grave in a way. Kind of from up there, maybe. Could be crazy, it just could be coincidence. I think it's like a nice touch. Like it doesn't have to be, but it can be. You know what I mean? Mm. Here's the scene that really gets me. Oh boy. Like the whole room just disappears in this scene, but it's emotionally perfect. This was in there since the original. He pins the grape soda badge on Russell saying, "This is the highest honor that I can bestow. The Ellie badge." Mm. It gets me. It just shows how far Carl has come in this story. He's reached this arc. He's bonded with Russell. He's kind of embraced the world again since the death of Ellie. He's embracing her life. He's come through. Also, all the dogs there is cute, and Alpha still is the cone, so he had like a nice comeuppance instead of like a Hopper death in Bug's life.
Yeah.
You know, gag. I hope this reads well. It's always a funny gag that he's in the handicap space. Again, this is at Fenton. It's exactly that moment that was mentioned earlier. So Carl is like his friend, but also kind of the father figure in a way.
Yeah.
Very, very minorly. You know, it's kind of, they're friends now, and they've gone through this experience. You know, they're at the ice cream place, Fenton's, and they're like counting the cars, and Doug seeing the world in black and white, saying, "Gray one." Oh, this bit right here. This is also great. Sorry, just the Ellie badge. Now this, I'm so emotional right now. It's Carl emotionally. Sorry, I just want to mention right here. I love the end credits here with the adventure book, and you see all these things progressing, like further adventures.
Yeah.
And all the jobs that are being mentioned reflect in all the images reflect in what the job entailed. So, like, you know, the computers and the scores, like them playing with glasses, making music. This is a nice one for the story by. It's they're at the place where Carl and Ellie would have their picnics. They look up into the clouds. They see clouds turn into babies. Real nice. Ryan Del Carmen, like the camp store. But before I get off track, you guys can see this for yourself. The last one, Star Wars. That's a nod to them working with Lucasfilm in the past.
Yeah.
Also, Ricky Nerva, he did a great job with the designs, and especially for Carl and that caricature look, he helped out with that. Mm. But, just Carl emotionally, by the end, the house is on the falls. It landed right in the exact spot. I know it's completely, would not happen in a blue moon, but you don't question it. You know, it's perfect, the way it ended. Just it landing.
It's something that you wanted to happen, so why not?
Yeah, exactly. It's Carl, emotionally, he got to the falls in the end. He didn't need to get there physically, but he got there emotionally, and regardless, it's a nice touch. We're happy that's there, you know. He's rewarded for his faith in that moment, you know. He emotionally realized I didn't need to go there, but, you know, the house got there anyway. It's just that visual representation, and I keep saying that too, so forgive me, folks. But yeah, it's just that great moment. We rooted for this character, and he got there, and it's that classic Disney moment, you know. It's like, oh, it's such a happy ending. This movie ended perfectly. He emotionally got there, so that's what counts. But he also physically got there. But now, as the credits are going, a few fun facts after the film's release. One of them not so fun, but let me save that one momentarily. You'll notice that Carl's in the retirement home, by the way.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
That was all right. He just needed a place to stay, I gather.
Yeah, I mean, he could have lived in the dirigible, really, but you know, it was an interesting choice. It's fine, you know. He's still embracing life. You know, he's in the home, and it doesn't look so bad as it did in the opening. He's like, no, Shady Oaks retirement home. You know, he's still being friends with Russell. That last image of him with like the tin can phone. It's nice. But plus Doug ended up with another female dog, and they had like a whole litter of puppies, which is cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just some fun facts. There's this short called George and AJ, which I recommend you check out. It's on YouTube and I believe on the DVD also.
Okay.
I think probably the DVD Blu-ray, but I would recommend that highly. I really would. But there's this short that's really funny. It's basically George and AJ. Again, AJ's Nancy, the mulleted cowboy boots.
Oh, okay.
It's basically those two guys, like, since that event, they've been kind of shaken, like, oh my god, did we see what we thought we saw? And then basically all the old people in the community, or the older people in the community, they're imitating Carl's actions, so they're making their houses. It's a silly short, and they wanted to do it, and they did it 2D because they couldn't afford the animation. It's a little fun short, so it's in 2D, it's fun. It's like the lady that launches her house by cat. Again, it's completely silly. You know, like the house is like digging subterraneously, and basically at the end, again, it contradicts this film. Like the voice actors don't come back because they couldn't afford them. So like literally, Pete Stone does do the voice of Russell. He's a grown man. Again, you've heard Emil and you've heard Squishy from Monsters University.
Yeah.
Is that, and it's basically the Shady Oaks retirement home. At the end, they're going back after that rough day, after all the people are launching their homes at somewhere. My favorite of which being a slingshot that ends up in like an inner tube thing. Like the house like turns into like a hovercraft, almost a hovercraft. But the ending is basically the Shady Oaks retirement home like launched a bunch of oxygen tanks to the bottom of it, and it launched in the air like a rocket. And then, just to top it off, those guys, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but the point is it's contradictory. Check it out, Magpie, and check it out, viewing audience. It's hilarious. But yeah, also, forgive me for talking throughout this entire thing and cutting off Magpie. Not my intention, but how can you fault me, really?
No, I can't. You just wait until we do something that I love, and I'll just talk all the way through it.
Yeah, also I love the little grapes, the other soda badges. They have like cherry soda and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this in real life there are these houses. People have made replicas of the Carl Fredricksen and Ellie house.
Yeah.
It's like verbatim, like in real life. I'm saying to scale of the house. They made it look identical to the house, both inside and out. Minus the balloons, mind you, but still, everything else, it's like for scale. They made exact replicas. I know there's one definite. I think other people have attempted it. I'm just like you can look it up on YouTube or look it up wherever. I think they might have a website. I can't remember their names, but there is an actual house that looks exactly like Carl Fredricksen's house. So you could actually visit that house if you'd like, I suppose. I'm sure they make it an attraction. I mean, why not? But so there's that, and I think there are other imitators, but also something I forgot to mention about the research film is they built a scale model, and I'm sure they have this displayed somewhere at Pixar. A scale model of, like, it's a miniature, but literally in that same realm of detail, so you get the scale proportions of the house. so they know where everything goes, and like they built a scale model so they can get like what the underside of the house looks like, and it's really neat looking. You gotta check it out if you can. Like look for that too. The scale model of the house from up looks really really neat. But also before I get into some maybe tear-inducing news. Yeah, my grandfather reminds me so much of Carl Fredricksen. I don't know. I think that's just everyone just recognizing features of their grandparents in this film with Carl and Ellie, particularly Carl. But I don't know. It's just for me, literally, he looks like my grandfather. He really looks most like him when they're dancing in the opening. It's like right before, because years pass after Ellie passes. Like it's before Carl has the cane and the white hair. So when it's just gray and white, that's when it's my grandfather. Exactly. But even after that, I drew a picture of Carl Fredricksen, and I taped it to my grandfather's mirror because we all kind of like jokingly mock him about he looks like Carl Fredricksen. It's a fun gag. We at my house we love that film, and they got I got this little Carl Fredricksen thing for Christmas. I always bring it with me when I travel somewhere. Put it on the desk.
Okay.
It's a little neat thing. But yeah, I have some a sad story to relay, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up. So brace yourself, Magpie, and brace yourself, viewing audience. It's like now we're literally coming full circle with the depressingly emotional part.
Yeah.
You ready?
Ready.
Okay, and sorry if we're going a little long here, folks, but I think it's really worth telling. Okay, there was a little girl by the name of Colby Curtin. This little girl was 10 years old, and in her life she contracted cancer.
Oh.
Unfortunately, she became very sick. However, towards the end, later in her life, when she's like at the age of 10, she saw the trailer for this film. She saw the trailer and she was really ecstatic about this film. She's a Pixar fan, she just really wanted to see this film. Now, things, unfortunately, with her condition progressed really, really bad. She got very sick. She's at the point where she's saying to her mother, Lisa, that I'm ready, but I'm going to wait for the movie. She's ready. She's ready to pass, but she's waiting for this movie. She really wants to see this film. Now, unfortunately, the film comes out. Well, the film's getting ready to come out. Okay, but here's the problem. She's too sick to leave the house, so she physically can't go to the movie theater. Now, what Lisa did was she contacted Pixar, and they sent I believe an intern, someone to deliver. Pixar was touched by her story. They sent her the film via DVD with a bunch of merchandise and toys, which wasn't much for the film, but there were still little things like plush Doug and Kevin and like the adventure book and stuff. Very little, but still they sent whatever they could. Anyway, the guy gets to the house because he shows her the film, and then shows her the film. He has to take it back for like legal reasons. It's sort of like a copyright. Well, not copyright. Sorry. Basically, he sits down with the film, and watches the film with the girl, and her family. It's the girl, her mother, and the employee. And she couldn't open her eyes. The disease had progressed that much. She couldn't physically open her eyes to watch the film. Now, what Lisa did was she described this to her. She described every scene to her in detail. She did. After the film was over, she asked her, how'd you like the film? How'd you like the movie? She nodded, because that's all she could do. She nodded, yes, I like the film. The employee left. After that, he's heading back to Emeryville. It was later that Friday she passed. Later that day, and one of the many things merchandise they left with her was the adventure book, and I've actually seen this adventure book in the Disney store at times. I don't know if it's still around, but you can get it on eBay. But the adventure book that Carl and Ellie have, all the pictures are in it. Like the actual adventure book's like a journal, so you can write down everything in it. So it looks exactly like the book, just inside lines instead of pages. Now, what Lisa said, and I quote her on this, I have to fill in those adventures for her now. She didn't know what she was getting into when she saw the film. She didn't know what the film was going to be about. She saw, balloons in a house. She didn't know what the themes of this film were going to be. It really, really touched her. It did. It was like her daughter going to heaven, as she put it. It really, I feel the story is worth bringing because really it shows the power of this film, the power of. So this film gave that girl the will to live just a little longer. This film, it brought joy to a dying child. Now, how much more can you ask from a film? I ask you, Magpie, how much more?
No more.
I know, it's just that film. It broke boundaries. They didn't hold back. They respected the audience. They showed a life progress. To quote Bob Peterson, they showed a life. They did that. They no holds bar. The story translates. It transcends. This is when, in that moment, I'm kind of wrapping up here on some final thoughts. So you can go after this. I saw Pixar. I was like a proud parent. I saw Pixar mature in this moment. I was like, they've grown up. I was like at the end of Toy Story 3, just seeing this. I was like, they've grown up. They've become Oscar worthy, and they literally did become. Not saying they weren't Oscar worthy in the past, but they literally, to the point where they, in that same year, appropriately enough, after many years, since 1992 or 91 or 92. Since Beauty and the Beast, no animated feature has been pitted against the actual best film category in the Oscars. Not since that film has that happened. And for this film, it broke the tradition. It happened again. This film, then Toy Story 3, Pixar Animation Studios, they were nominated for Best Picture and robbed of it, if you ask me, for 2009. Forget The Hurt Locker, forget Avatar. I want this. This should have won. I would say this
yes.
film deserved it. This film, Pixar has matured to the point. At this point, their storytelling was up to the pinnacle, and they surpassed that pinnacle with Toy Story 3. But even with, if I didn't have the emotional attachment to Toy Story 3, this would be my favorite. This film, I can't speak negatively about this film at all. I physically cannot. I can't. There's nothing wrong with this film. This film, to me, is pure cinema. It is cinematic achievement, cinematic accomplishment that cannot be dwarfed. It captured that Walt Disney vibe. It's Pinocchio and Dumbo, especially Dumbo. Again, Pete Dockery loves Dumbo, and he got that transcended this film. That pure concept. That it's about the connections for that Walt Disney quote. For every laugh, there should be a tear. This is Pixar's funniest film, yet their most poignant film ever done. Maybe short of Toy Story 3 or the original Toy Story. It's so endearing. We're with this character. It's powerful. It really is. It captured that Disney vibe. It really did. Magpie, would you like to share your final thoughts?
Like I said, I'd only seen this movie once before, and I really enjoyed it this time, especially watching it with someone with so much knowledge. And due to that story you told as well, this is gonna be the first time we're gonna do this, and we're gonna forgo rating it because I just don't think it would be right. So there will be no ratings on this because it is just too good of a movie to rate.
It would be remiss if we gave this thing a point lower than any rating.
Yeah.
We could ever give it. It really is.
Yeah, because it's too good to be rated, and tearing even taking a scene out and analyzing it would just not. I just wouldn't feel right about it. So this will maybe the only time we do this. We're gonna forgo ratings for this film because it did something so wonderful. It brought joy to a dying child. So how can you top that for something to say? So,
but keep in mind, even without that, this film is that good. Even without that story, I saved it to the end because I don't want that to influence how you felt about the film or how anyone feels about this film. That just adds to the meaning of the film. It really does, I think.
Yeah. So we're just gonna say goodbye now, and we will make our own journey.
Remember, sorry.
Yeah, and
remember, folks. Remember, everyone. Adventure is out there.
And it may be in the place you least expect it.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Take care.